Fish and Chums!
Hi everybody, Gary Heydrich here for this week's Fish and Chums Fishing Report. Gosh, we're just about in the middle of August already. Can you believe this? And the weather, well, I don't have to say anything about the weather. It is absolutely gorgeous. We have some good reports for you this week. Fishing is a little tough bass-wise on Table Rock. We'll be talking about this, but we're catching fish. Over at Shoals, we've had pretty good walleye reports this week in mid-lake area. And Taneycomo, there's such a variety of ways to catch trout right now. And we'll be talking about where to catch them on Taneycomo and about 5 different baits that you can use to catch them for this upcoming weekend. Sounds like it's going to be kind of a wet weekend. We hope it's not too bad. Today is real wet, but we'll just kind of get through this thing and try to give you some points to get you out the right direction. Okay, let's start off at Table Rock. We fished out there this week and we're catching pretty good numbers of fish. Maybe not a lot of big fish, but numbers. And if you want to take your buddy out or your grandkids out, your kids this weekend, watch the weather, number one, and just get out and try. If you're not used to lures, if the grandkids are not used to drop shotting or Ned rigging, just get some night crawlers. There's no shame in using night crawlers this time of the year. A lot of people do it. And so what you do is just stop at your favorite bait and tackle shop, pick you up some either Belgian worms or night crawlers, and get out there off the long points. Find you a nice little drop off, fish the shells, and there's no magic rigs right now. For kids, you can just use a little gold hook, put a split shot up above it about maybe 8 inches, hook a night crawler a couple times, just drop it vertically right down. And just have those kids hold it and kind of go back and forth on those ledges. You're going to catch fish. Again, they may not be big, but kids don't care. They'll have a lot of fun. And using these night crawlers this time of the year, you never know what you're going to catch. You might catch a walleye. You may catch white bass. You may catch, of course, bass, a lot of spotted bass, smallmouth, and bluegill, big bluegill, 12 to 15, 20 feet of water. Just work these right back off the ledges, off the big flats, on the ledges of the flats, the ledges of the points, submerged hilltops. You'll get them, I promise you. Okay, other than that, if you want to do some bait fishing, artificial bait fishing this weekend, I'll tell you what's working right now is this little rascal right here. We've had great luck with it. It's just a little horse head, that's all it is. 1/8 ounce or 1/4 ounce, and I'll put a little grub on the tail of it. I kind of like the light colored one right now, but smoke will work as well. And fish, excuse me, don't do that. Fish off the deep water docks. Pitch that thing up there, let it count it down to about 5, 8 to 10, and then just slow roll it back to the boat. And I'm telling you, you're going to catch fish on this horse head just with the regular grubs. You're going to catch fish. May not be big, but you're going to catch them. And also, we've been picking up some fish on the shallow water points in the early morning hours on a couple different baits. But I've been saying this for the last 2 or 3 weeks on the program. Wiggle warts are working real good right now. Again, you may not be catching big fish, but it seems like some of these spots and some smallmouth will move up on those shallow points in the morning hours, crawdadding. And I like this little bit of color right now because Table Rock's not its normal clear color. It's kind of stained. I like some chartreuse and of course the crawdad pattern on top. This thing has been working. It will work for you. Get out there in the early morning hours and try fishing anywhere from 5, 8, 10 feet of water, 12 feet of water. Slow roll this rig. Don't burn it too fast. Or experiment anyway, and you'll catch some fish on the shallow water points. Now when that sun gets out there and we haven't had too much wind, you may want to get out on Table Rock and go to the points, secondary points, and get out there where it drops down 20, 25 feet of water. Kind of watch your depth finder, see if there's any shad activity. Find bait and you'll usually find fish. And this is what I do. Spoon fishing. I love to spoon fish. And just slab spoon right off that bottom, jerk it, let it fall, jerk it, let it fall, and this will work. They're still picking up some fish on Ned rigs and of course drop shotting. This will work as well. So Table Rock Lake looks good this upcoming weekend, depends on the weather. But don't overlook this little horse head. I'm telling you, it works. It's working, and I'd really recommend these little crankbaits. I tell you what, they've been working good for us up in the shallow water. That will work for you. Hey, there's been a little bit of top water action out here at Table Rock right now. A little more than the last week or two. A variety of baits are working. I'm still thinking about, boy, I love this pop R. It's been producing a few fish. At times they're coming up and popping these small shad, and they'll just come up and spurt, maybe just for 10 or 15 seconds. Pitch that pop R or your favorite top water bait, and you'll have a chance of picking up some fish. So pop R's are working. Might give it a shot. What else is happening? On Table Rock, we're still getting reports of a few walleye being caught up in the Baxter area. There's some boys up there working those points. I've been saying this for the last 3 weeks. They've been trolling deep diving baits, walleye divers, and anything that will get down around 15, 17, 18 feet of water just going off the points. And as I mentioned on last week's show, get off of a good point throughout Table Rock and use your night crawlers and fish those points around 15 to 25 feet of water. Just use your electric motor to stay on that area, or maybe just anchor and just vertically fish that night crawler. Just a gold hook, red hook, a little split shot up above it about 8 inches. Vertically fish it on these points, and you'll have a chance of picking up, well, a variety of fish. But I think you could pick up a walleye this weekend doing this. You'll pick up some spots and a smallmouth and maybe a white bass. And speaking of white bass, we've had reports of white bass schooling, and they've been coming up and busting. So you may want to keep your eye out on top water. You know, there's been some schooling activity, especially up in the White River. So check this out, some white bass schooling. All right, crappie, same old story. We've had reports of crappie being caught in any good deep water dock right now at Table Rock that have a history of producing crappie. Get out there this weekend, use yourself some kind of a drop shot of minnow, flip some jigs out, and work the deep water dock. Especially, we're still getting reports up around Cape Fair, some good crappie in not only around the docks, but the deep water brush piles. We've been saying this for the last 3 or 4 weeks. By the way, James River, we're still getting reports of some fish being caught up there on a variety of bait. Jigs have been working, and plastic worms, and some buzz baits are still working. They're not catching a lot of fish, but at times when they're using these buzz baits up to James, they're picking up a little bit better quality fish, especially the first couple hours in the morning. All right, let's run over to Bull Shoals, Mid-Lake area. We're still getting reports in the K-Dock area. Some of the old boys have been going out there trolling the bluffs with the deep diving baits, something get down around 15 feet of water. They're working the points and the bluffs, just trolling, picking up a nice walleye on occasion. And they've been having some good top water fishing out there in the morning as well for bass up in the K-Dock area. Get out early in the morning, fish the first hour and a half. They're catching fish on pop R's, they're picking up a few fish on buzz baits, and they have had some pretty good fish on spooks, the junior spooks, the smaller one. Mid-Lake area, around some of the 125 area up there, they have been picking up some pretty nice walleye by using a variety of bait. You know, I mentioned this for the bass fishing, the slab spoon. They've been picking up some fish slab spooning the deep water flats. Bull Shoals is still up around a little over 20 feet of water, but they've been using these slab spoons in about 30 feet, 25, 30 feet of water, picking up some walleye, and of course they're picking up an occasional bass as well. So slab spooning the Mid-Lake area, 125 area, and trolling the bluffs up there in the 125 area, and jigging night crawler or hooking night crawler in the bluff ends and the flats. Lake Taneycomo, whoa, we've had several reports this week. They've been picking up some fish on, of course, the power eggs, drifting power eggs. Again, I just use a single gold hook, that old split shot up above it about maybe 8-10 inches. Put a couple of your Berkeley power eggs. Kind of mix your colors up. I've been saying orange, 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 orange and white. Try this. We've had reports of orange and chartreuse. So there's been some fish being caught trout-wise. Still the same old story. Cooper Creek on down to Monkey Island on down through the bridges and through the landing area. And other things they've been using out there, trolling crankbaits, small crankbaits, right out in the middle of the channel, right out in the middle of the lake. And we've had some good reports of some bigger fish being caught on small crankbaits or crankbaits. Something get down around 5 to 8 feet of water, it seems like. You might want to weight a little bait like this down, or use your favorite crankbait, and you might pick yourself up a nice trout. By the way, the rainbow trout colored rapalas, the small trout colored, has been working too, casting out and bringing it back to the boat. And we've had some reports of spoons, and it seems like my old favorite, the silver spoon with the blue stripe, has been working. So a variety of baits have been working on Lake Taneycomo. Lots of weather. Get out there this weekend. I know you can get bit. Well, I want to thank you very much for being with us today. Be sure to subscribe. I say it every week. It's absolutely free. Just push that little button, subscribe, and tell your friends about us. You know, we're kind of an all species program here. We like to talk about trout, white bass, walleye. We love our bass fishing. We love our bluegill fishing. So just to tell your friends about us, and be sure to tell them to subscribe. And this will keep you informed on all upcoming shows. We have some shows besides fishing reports. And be sure to like and share. And if you'd like to email us at fishandchums@gmail.com. Love to hear from you. That's about it for the day. Have yourself a good upcoming weekend. Keep safe out there on the waters this weekend. Happy outdoors, everyone.